Hello everyone, Ken and Loey here, getting back to Path of Exile, and this time we will take a look at Ritual League, which is 3.13, I do believe.
Indeed.
And for Ritual League comes with quite a few changes to, of course, balancing, like usual. Actually quite a bit more balancing than normal, believe it or not.
Yep.
And also some major changes to the Atlas. So first of all, when you go into a new area for Ritual League, you'll find one of these ritual altars, and they will have kind of a prefix on them, and that will modify the encounter. So here you see a fortress ritual altar. So, oh yeah, beyond.
Yep.
Yes, my essences.
Yes.
And that will add some kind of gimmick to the fight, and it will shrink the arena to the size of the area that you can fight in, to basically fight all of the monsters that you killed within the vicinity of the altar, plus a few things in addition to that. It kind of sounds like some monsters carry over from some rituals to others.
Yeah, all the monsters that you fight in one ritual is carried into the next ritual and so on.
Yeah. So as soon as you finish a ritual encounter, you will get what is called tribute. It is kind of like any sort of event currency that you will get. Basically like sulfite or whatever. You do an encounter or click on something and then you get this currency. And you can trade it for whatever is shown here if you get enough tribute. And you have 3 rituals per area to maximize the tribute that you get within that area. So you also have these hidden items that you have to do more than one tribute, more than one encounter in order to find out what they are. And you need to do all 3 of them to, maximize that. And if you do not have enough tribute to actually pay for what you want, you can defer items to pay a certain percentage to basically keep that item up in the store, so to speak, and be able to get that later. So that is kind of the overall gist of Ritual. You do the 3 encounters, you get what you want, and then move on to the next thing. You can also get Ritual Splinters, which sounds like you can juice maps up further and improve the pack size of the ritual encounters of whatever you want, whatever map you want. Which sounds pretty interesting, but of course, being this early, we haven't really tried anything to do with that.
Yep.
So me and Warmonger this league have been trying a Cyclone with a thrusting one-handed sword, and he is using a Aura bot that specializes in physical damage rather than elemental damage. So typically an Aura bot will use stuff like Hatred and Anger in order to convert physical damage or get flat elemental damage for whoever is carrying them. But we are focusing mainly on physical damage by trying to get enough aura effect for Pride, War Banner, and Flesh and Stone. And did you did you look to see if you were in Blood Stance still?
Yeah, I'm in Blood Stance.
Oh, okay. Because a few times you have said that you switched stances for some reason.
Yeah, I'm still not entirely sure what's going on with that, but it seems to be better now.
So besides the fortress totem that decreases the damage enemies take, there is also encounters that have like lightning attacks that you need to dodge, chaos attacks, because of course they just had to add chaos in there.
Yes.
And I think at least, oh yeah, and then pain totems, which I think deals direct damage to you or increases the damage you take or something. I didn't really look at what they actually did because I'm more focused on spinning around in a circle, so. Also, you do give me 84% all elemental res already, so that's quite good.
Yep.
Kind of surprised you were able to get that so early.
Well, I put the auras in my Alpha's house.
Oh.
Get +2.
Yeah, that helps a lot.
Yeah.
So with Ritual, there was a lot of balance changes, like I said, that were more extravagant than usual. And aura stacking, ironically, now that we're playing an aura stacking setup, they heavily nerfed aura stacking because they determined that cluster jewels, which are your main source of increasing your aura effect, was too much, so they nerfed that as well as curse cluster jewels by half, just about half for curses. So for the aura effect for it went from 6% to 3%, and the curse from 5% to 3%. Which is kind of disappointing, but it's not really all that surprising, because aura effect stacking, if you did it right, you could deal immense damage as well as having basically the highest defenses that you can get to all sources of damage, as well as really high life regen or ES regen if you spec'd into Zealot's Oath. So, which things do you want me to grab this time?
Grab the currency stuff. Like the deferred items, like the silver coins and the stacked deck and
yeah.
the Vol Orb and the chances.
Okay, now I think I just need to defer stuff again. So yeah, deferring stuff definitely adds up. And yeah, I need to defer that. I can't defer the coins, feels bad, man.
Mirror card, go.
Yes. So, like I was saying, they heavily nerfed aura stacking and curse stacking on increasing the effectiveness of your auras and curses. And the other thing they did was basically nerf just about every single ascendancy in the entire game, so that makes a lot of sense. A bit of context is that they wanted to streamline most of the ascendancies to be more straightforward, I guess. So they removed a lot of filler stats, or what they determined to be filler stats, which is very subjective, I would say. For an example, on the Raider, which I am playing, they removed the increased attack damage from Rapid Assault as well as Avatar of the Chase, which turns out to be like 30 or 40% increased attack damage. Well, that adds up to be quite a bit if you're an attack-based Raider. So they did buff, I think, the onslaught effect that they give you, as well as they increased the more evade chance you get from Avatar of the Chase, not Avatar of the Chance. But then they did buff Avatar of the Slaughter to kind of make up for that if you have enough frenzy charges. So overall, the Raider wasn't really they made it so that basically all of the buffs you get, like Onslaught and Phasing, are now permanent with the right Ascendancy nodes, and they increased effectiveness of some things and nerfed others. So Raider overall was not affected nearly as much as some other ones, like the Necromancer and the Champion, and I think even Slayer as well. They were just flat out nerfed. They removed things without even adding back to them in any sort of way whatsoever. And a lot of people were criticizing Grinding Gears games for that decision, because a lot of these so-called filler stats made certain ascendancies feel much better, and also just the numerical nerfs to some of them just overall reduce the effectiveness, and sometimes even nodes that sounds like most people didn't even choose, so good on them, I guess. Some examples of that is that the Chieftain, for the fire resistance one, they removed the life regen. So if you wanted to do Righteous Fire, you have to get more life regen from other sources. Some other ones are that they removed the 50% attack damage from Slayer, and they reduced the numerical buffs of Necromancer, so you have reduced minion damage in comparison to before. So those are just some examples, but pretty much all of that was made across the board. From the ascendancies that they didn't change very much. Why isn't it allowing me? Okay, there we go. From the ascendancies that weren't changed very much, they pretty much just moved around a few things, made some nodes specialize in more so in one dedicated thing, which is fine. But I would say probably for a third to half of the ascendancies, from what I recall, they were just flat out nerfed. And then they also buffed a decent number of skill gems, but not enough to make up for the ascendancy nerfs whatsoever. And I think one of the more memorable changes that they made to ascendancies was Assassin. They removed 30% increased movement speed for essentially no reason. So yeah, imagine instead of going 100% movement speed most of the time, you're now only going 70%. Like, that's pretty huge, especially with suboptimal gear, so you go from 60% to 30%, for an example. And it just was not really warranted at all. So besides that, some other changes that they made were a lot more impactful for the longevity of the game, was changes to the Atlas once again. So it kind of sounds like for Path of Exile, they make one big massive change to the Atlas every 4 leagues or so.
Basically once a year.
Yeah, once a year they make those changes, which is fine. I think if done right, it can add quite a bit. Unfortunately, I don't really care for the Conqueror's progression all that much after playing it for so long in comparison to before, but you kind of get used to it, and there's not exactly anything we can do about it anyway, but... where's the chests in the Legion? Well, of course
they're nowhere.
Items, there we go. And for the Atlas changes, they made it so that they added a new boss, as well as some more specific encounters that you don't have to do, but you should do. And it makes it so that there's now skill trees on the Atlas. Unfortunately, we haven't gotten far enough in the Atlas to actually unlock any of those. So if you find you might need to find some other videos that are more dedicated to that specifically, or the or the announcement post directly in order to find out those changes. So basically they added a boss encounter that if you do it, you get, like I said, skill trees on your atlas where the watchstones are. And what it allows you to do is make your atlas more dedicated to a certain type of play. For an example, if you like breaches, there is nodes on that tree that give you more breaches and increases the rewards from breaches. Some other ones is that it increases the amount of sulfite that you get, so that is very nice for delvers. And pretty much every single Forgotten Master, you can change your tree on there to make it so that you get more of it, which is always nice. I mean, I think that overall the changes that made it so that you can do master missions on your own terms makes it so that you can do the content that you want, and this is just one more available customization of that allows you to customize your atlas even more to be more streamlined to what you enjoy playing. If you always want to do the Beyond, take the Beyond nodes and add more monsters to your map and increase whatever they drop and stuff like that. So that is pretty much the gist of the changes. And I'll let you explain our our progression of this league, so to say, how that has been going.
Well, leveling was pretty garbage for the most part. But I mean, I think we kind of figured out why that was with how Cyclone works and how armor works against that.
Yeah.
Because you're doing all these really low damage hits, and then that allows the monster's armor to really kick in quite a bit, and not having some overwhelm physical damage mitigation is really invaluable for leveling with Cyclone, it would seem.
Yeah, it really does.
So that was kind of unfortunate, but things are going quite a bit better now, so...
Yeah, I just had to have a better Orabot as well as Abyssus to make it work.
Right. Yeah, Abyssus gave you quite a lot of damage.
Yeah, getting an Abyssus pretty much nearly doubled my damage, so I think I went from 35k to 55k roughly from, well, of course that's with your buffs like haste and stuff added in.
Yeah.
And yeah, Cyclone will leveling, unless you are a duelist and get the Brinksmanship cluster right away, which adds melee AoE. Your AoE is trash, and then if you do a lot of small hits, then you pretty much don't deal any damage because the armor mitigates it, which is really annoying.
Yeah, I would definitely not recommend leveling with Cyclone unless you have some seriously good plans.
And did I get? Oh yeah, I got Drox. Okay. I was about to say, did I even get a Conquer on that?
Yeah.
So overall, well, of course we haven't experienced the whole skill trees within the Atlas thing, but what are your overall thoughts of everything so far?
Well, from what I know, which is not everything, well, the things that they've added to the endgame Atlas is quite insane, honestly. Like, they've added a lot of more stuff with the Atlas passive trees and the craftable watchstones and whatnot.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot about the craftable.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about the craftable watchstones.
Yeah.
And those you get from...
You get those from the Maven, I believe?
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, so basically they added another super boss like Sirius or Shaper, where they want you to fight her in order to get craftable watchstones in order to modify your Atlas even more. And I don't even remember what mods they can even have, like even the example one. I think some of them were actually quite big though.
There's quite a few mods that you can roll on them.
So yeah, so far, I mean, besides the Ascendancy changes, which were for the most part pretty garbage, I mean, I think they did streamline a lot of things, but they just took away a lot of things that just made each Ascendancy feel much better. Like the Assassin's movement speed, they also removed a lot of sources of taking reduced damage, like the Assassin's Mistwalker having reduced damage while elusive. I think there was I think there were a few other ones, like Slayer reduced damage while leeching or something like that. They removed a lot of small defensive layers for essentially no reason, and it's like, unless you're using an aura bot like us, like, you're probably going to die enough as it is, so the fact they're removing those is pretty dumb. And they weren't really big enough values, I think, to really break anything, so I don't know. But with that aside, though, I think all of the changes that they made to the Atlas itself, or at least from the sound of it, because we haven't experienced all of that yet, it sounds really good. We just need to get to that point and go through the standard fighting the four stooges every time. And whatnot to actually experience that. So we'll see how that goes, and overall Ritual League is one of those simple but effective leagues, I think. The more complicated ones, or at least the ones that you need to put a lot of time and investment in order to actually make it worth it. Heist.
Oh!
These types of leagues are a lot more of my personal playstyle. For Heist, oh yeah, I forgot to mention, they also nerfed basically every single Heist alternate quality gem that it was actually worth it. So now
Yeah,
Heist
they may
is...
as well just remove the alternate quality gems or something, because...
Yeah.
Yeah.
They basically made it so that a lot of the alternate quality, for auras at least, you need to have an enhanced support on them in order to get literally anything from them, and aura stack. So, for an example, the purities, you would have 4%. 4%. Oh, do you need a granite flask?
What? No, I have one.
Okay.
I have a basalt flask. Yeah.
So, like I was saying, the purities, they give you 4% elemental pen to their corresponding element, but then they nerfed that down to 1%, and they nerfed aura stacking. So you basically need an enhanced support to get that up to 2%, and then stack as much aura stacking as possible to get like 6% or 8% elemental pen now, which is like, why even bother? They pretty much ruined half of Heist. And they also added Heist and Harvest and into the standard part of gameplay, so it's like, I guess they just don't want people to interact with that anymore. Unless you want replica uniques, but it's just, a lot of things just don't make any sense, but then they add other really good stuff that adds a lot to the Atlas potentially, so it's just a really mixed bag. So with that being said, is there anything else we should cover?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so yeah, that's basically our impressions. I mean, even though that I called these videos reviews, they're more of first impressions based on the leveling process and getting to level 80 within a few days is usually pretty good sign. Overall, I mean, with the Ascendancy changes aside, all of the other changes I feel were really good. So, we'll see what the future holds. I mean, I think for most things they didn't exactly break anything with the changes, but we'll see how it goes. With that being said, though, thank you very much for watching and have a wonderful day.